So today we're looking at the Sigma 28-105 f2.8 for the Sony E-mount. Is this an all-in-one lens? Is it a desert island lens? Is 28 millimeters wide enough? Does it matter that there's no image stabilizations? A lot of questions. We're going to answer it. Stay tuned. I've mostly used Sony E-mount lenses, the G Master zooms. I haven't really messed with too much Sigmas. Really felt like the same. Didn't feel anything different. In the build quality, the zoom ring, the declicked aperture, there's some assignable buttons, but I've never used one. Feels like it's built like a tank. I like the price for what you get. I think it's like $1,600, $1,650. Feels good in the hand. The lens does protrude. Not surprising. Got some new Rode mic goes for today's event shoot, using this small rig battery to charge it up right before. Sometimes I use V-mounts literally just to charge stuff, not just for the cameras. And also working with this new Insta360 Go S, or it's not really new anymore. I'm just a little behind on the vlogs. Getting ready. I brought the FX6 out. I was the only camera operator on this today. That's why I wanted to try this all in one lens. So usually when I'm the solo operator, 24-70 is going to be my A lens, and then when I want longer shots, I'll go to 70-200. What was nice is today I only used one lens, and 28-105 felt like it covered all of my bases for the shoot. You know, it was kind of event, run and gun, one-man band. 28-105 on the FX6 was great. 28 to me was wide enough for this application. It might not be for every application, but for this one, it worked out great. Easy rig, FX6, 28-105. Shooting a really cool event with my least favorite NHL team, but today I hid my Islanders jersey to work with the Rangers. This is a really cool shoot. And it was actually the first time I got on the ice shooting with a camera. More on that, you'll see later. Shooting through the glass. Look at that autofocus tracking so well. Yeah, I really felt like the FX6 was a really nice pair. With this lens, like I said, 28 did feel wide enough for this camera and this job. Autofocus was great. The range was great. F2.8 was great. I like the price. 82 millimeter filters. Honestly, I could see this lens being used on anything, you know, documentary, events, interviews, weddings, music videos, branded content, commercials, really anything and everything. It's just such a good jack of all trades lens. Sure, there's no image stabilization like let's say a 24-105 might have, but you know, on the FX6, that's a big camera. Once you rig it out, that doesn't matter. Then on some of these smaller cameras like my FX3, there's stabilization and active stabilization. So once I turned on that active stabilization, it got really smooth. Yeah, I was having a lot of fun and definitely didn't want to return the lens. This was a share grid rental for this job. I wanted to test out a lens before making the spur of the moment purchase. I am, though, on the hunt for some sort of all-in-one lens with, oh man, a zoom rocker would be so sick, or a servo zoom. I've used the 28-135 f4. That lens is dope. It is really big. It does have its quirks, and it's only a 4. Man, if they made like a 24-105 f2.8, that would be insane. Usually I do it into a zoom, but for this I just plugged it right in. I actually got a pretty good feed right into it, so that was a nice surprise. There we go, getting on out there. I quickly realized the Easy Rig was not the tool on the ice. It was really making the camera bounce, so I took the Easy Rig off and just went all natural. Wasn't going too crazy. There's kids here. I actually have like another shoot that I just did with a clothing brand and a NHL player, and I actually got on the ice. There will be content surrounding that. That one I was so stoked, and the client was like, yo, you're wheeling out there, bud. Standard. This is at 105. Now we're going to go into active at 105 millimeters. F22 to F28. I love a declicked aperture, and sorry, I know this isn't really the best example. Just shooting random bullshit. I hate nothing more than B-roll of trees and leaves. It doesn't actually give you a real world use case, but
I'm gonna just walk at 24 or 28 mil. Heel to toe. Now let's go over to standard. And then now we're gonna go into active, which crops in a little bit. That's good. Now let's go into active. That's great. Let's see. I hate vlogging in public. I don't know. So if you're doing real estate, this is not wide enough. I mean, that works. For real estate shoot, it wouldn't work. Now, let's say we were doing a documentary and this was the location. Yeah, that'll work. And then, you know, I want some variety. Let's go punch in, get some street signs. So if you want my honest opinion, the versatility of this lens is fantastic. I do think 28 millimeters for most scenarios is wide enough. I can always keep a wide lens on me if I need to swap. I actually think having the range, because usually I rock a 24 to 70, I think having the range from 70 to 105 is worth the sacrifice from 24 to 28, just for the kind of work that I do. Safe to say my first impressions are I want this lens. And so my perspective of kind of like a first thoughts sort of thing on this lens is unique because I'm a freelance DP. I work and shoot documentaries, branded content, corporate video. I do this for a living and I've wanted kind of this like all-in-one kind of lens, right? I'm not saying I'm gonna go run and buy this, but like, dude, it was so nice. I didn't have to go run and grab my 70-200 and switch that out. And the 70-200 is a big lens. And that's not to say I don't love that lens and there's a place for that lens, because there is. The versatility of this is like, it really blew my mind. I originally thought, I was like, man, I don't know, 28 is not wide enough. I'm calling cap on that. It is wide enough for the stuff that I do. I mean, my dream scenario, Sony, if you're listening, you're probably definitely not listening. One day you'll be listening, we're growing. Dude, give me a 24 to 105, f 2.8 with a power zoom, declicked aperture. I would pay serious money for that, because that's an all-in-one lens. 35, 50, 70, 105. Dude, I love that compression. Let's go into active, 105, f2.8. All right, so now we have it with active stabilization on. I mean, I could vlog with 28 on full frame. Sorry, I just like rolled out of bed. I probably look not to my best. I usually like to take a shower, wash my face, you know, do normal people things before I get on camera, but I don't care. Also, bro, check this out. Holy influencer alert. Rode Mic Pro, Insta360 Go 3S. My biggest question with this is 28 millimeter going to be wide enough for most of the applications that I'm using? My answer is yes. I even bought like a little side pouch that I could put onto my belt. I'm like, all right, I'll keep a 16 to 35 on me. Not once did I grab it. I want this lens. Hey Sigma, if you're watching, I know a guy that might want the lens. Let me know. You know where to find me. Oh, don't want to get hit by a car. Okay, 28 standard, stabilization, f2.8, 50. Real riveting subject matter, y'all. I rented this lens with my own money. I had one shoot that I wanted to use it because I was the only shooter for the job. So I was like, I want to try something else. Usually I would do a 24 to 70. It probably would have been fine. There's a lot of times where I ran this out to 105. I highly recommend before making a big purchase, just rent the lens. Just try it, whether, you know, it's like looking around like, is anyone watching me vlog? This is the most I've ever vlogged in public without getting embarrassed. Rent something out before you make the purchase. I do think it's worth it. Even if you're spending money out of your own pocket, it's a good test because, so let's say I spend $100 to rent this lens for 2 days. I got to bring it on to a shoot. It's 100% worth the $100 test. And now I know when I do have a little bit of excess funds and if I feel like I want to make this purchase, I would buy this lens. And this is literally just on one job. I've come to this conclusion, and now this little walk around test. But anyways, I've always kind of gone for, I want to stick to Sony G Master lenses, and I still do feel that way. But when I see a lens that's not in the lineup, that piques my interest. They don't have a 28-105 f4, and so I'm like, screw it, let's start trying Sigma. I would call this a first thoughts video. I haven't done enough to call this a full-length review. I do think I know a thing or two about cameras and lenses, so I could speak about it. Again, just coming from my experience as a working DP. All right, if I'm gonna have any cons, the lens is definitely heavy, but I mean, think about how much glass and range you're working with. Heavier camera, the more stable your footage is gonna be. Anyways, that is a con, depending on what's just like, on the FX3 right now, it's definitely like, it's really not that bad. I guess my other con that you could say is, it's definitely, you know, these new, you know, souped up technology, whatever, these new lenses, they're super sharp. They're pretty sterile. This is not like, I wouldn't say there's like a whole lot of character and not necessarily like giving you a look or whatever, you know, it's not funky. So it's like definitely got a sharp, sterile look, but like, I don't care. If a project calls for something more funky, like vintage lenses or anamorphics, that's why those things exist. And for most day-to-day jobs, having a funky super character thing, that doesn't matter. I could also toss a mist filter on there. I have a set of Hollywood Black Magic filters. So that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I want to buy this lens, but I'm probably not going to because I do feel like other lenses will come out. But like, I'm gonna give this a hell yeah, brother, on this lens. All right, time to go home. Enough influencing for the day.
I like this style of review where I'm getting a tool out in the field and it's not just, you know, me in a studio talking about a lens and how bocalicious it is. No shame to any other YouTubers. I want to learn about stuff that other DPs are using and camera operators and videographers are using out in the field, what they think about it, how they're getting value from it. So that's what this channel is all about. If, you know, if any of that interests you, come follow along the journey. I really like this lens. I would love to have it in my kit, but for right now, I'm going to hold off. Something could be coming the next year. I don't know. Or maybe I get one on a whim. Who knows? All right, guys. Till next time.